夏天好想来点清爽的。三得利顶级琴酒六 ROKU 融合6种日本在地植物和经典琴酒配方，入口淡雅的樱花和绿茶香，接着是柚子果皮的清新柑橘味，最后一抹日本山椒的微微馨香在舌尖绽放，层层香气像走进一座日式花园，清爽又迷人。现在推出200ml轻巧瓶 ，7-Eleven 和全家都买得到哦。禁止酒驾，未满18岁禁止饮酒。
Hello, welcome to 3-in-1 Football Show. 欢迎来到三档1码 And I'm Dennis.
I'm Charlie.
And it is our first for all English episode. Let's welcome our guest, Chris.
All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Chris. I'm from America, and it's an honor. It's my honor to be a part of the first ever all English episode.
Welcome and appreciate.
Thank you for inviting me.
Our listeners may be interested or curious about why we invited Chris here, because we met each other in a marathon race, and we talked, and we found that he's from New England and he's been a big fan of Tom Brady and the Patriots nation.
Hell yeah.
Yes, sir. I was so hyped when I met Dennis and when I met Hardstyle, Dennis's friend, and I found out that they were football fans. Like, you don't find that in Taiwan that often. So I was so excited to finally have someone to talk with about Tom Brady, about the Patriots, all that.
Yeah, that's right. And today we would have Chris talk about Patriots and Tom Brady, Bill Belichick, Robert Kraft from a point of view like a local person.
Yep.
So could you introduce where you grew up and raised, and what's the environment like?
Yes, sir. All right. So, Chris, as I said, I'm from a little town in Massachusetts, Majo, as you guys say, called Hopkinton, and it's probably 40 minutes away from Foxborough, where the Patriots play football. I ended up going to school, college at Boston College, which is also in Massachusetts, right outside of Boston, and I was big into Boston College sports over there. Go Eagles. I grew up in a family that was extremely competitive and extremely sports-focused. Ever since I can remember, we were watching the Celtics, we were watching the Patriots every Sunday. We'd prepare a bunch of food and have people over for the games. Red Sox, Bruins, going to games. It's just Boston sports has always been a part of my life, and I'm so lucky to have grown up in the best era of Boston sports. There's a reason we're called the City of Champions nowadays. So that's kind of my background. We're huge fans.
So what was your usual Sunday like in football season?
Oh, during football season? Typical Sunday, I mean, you wake up, no school, which is great, and the first games will usually start at 1 p.m., but sometimes when the games are maybe in Germany or maybe England or maybe down in Mexico, it might be a different time, and maybe you'll get lucky and have a 9:30 a.m. game, but typically it'll be 1 p.m., have a nice breakfast, and then prepare all the food, have some people over for the game a lot of times. Maybe if it's a big game, maybe if it's like Patriots versus Bills, that's a big rivalry. I have a lot of family from Buffalo, New York, and they're huge Bills fans. So whenever we'd be going against them and Tom Brady would inevitably be destroying them 50-0, we'd give a call to my family up in Buffalo, and my dad would jostle back and forth with them over the phone. And other than just watching the game, fantasy football is a huge part of my Sunday experiences, especially being in Taiwan now, where I can't be like at home with everybody watching the games. It's kind of an awkward time. Maybe I'll be at school and it'll be in the morning. Maybe between classes I can catch a few glimpses, but I can always have fantasy on my phone. So I'll just be checking in with that 24/7, checking if my guys are getting points. Yeah, fantasy is just a huge thing in the U.S., and I've been doing it for over 10 years.
On Sunday, do you usually have friends or other family or relatives coming to your home to watch the game together?
Usually it's just my direct family. I'm a triplet, so I'm really close with my brother and sister. We're the same age. We've grown up together. We played sports together. Not football, because my parents didn't want us getting concussions and brain injuries. But sports nonetheless. And usually it'll just be us in our TV room where we have a big flat screen, nice speakers. Maybe we'll prepare some nachos or some wings, have a pizza, especially if it's a nighttime game. Those ones are really hype when the music's like da na 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 na, and then you need some pizza with that, pizza and wings and beer, obviously. So yeah, usually just the direct family. We're glued to the screen. Nowadays we don't have Brady anymore, so the games are a little bit closer than I would like to admit, but it's still fun nonetheless. Every game starts 0-0. Every game starts close, so competitive from the start.
Okay, so speak to football. You say your parents did not allow you to play the 4-gear football.
Yeah.
So how about a flag?
So growing up, I was always into my brother and my sister. We played a lot of recreational sports growing up. Started with baseball. We'd play recreational basketball in our town league growing up. So that was most of it. And then when I got to high school, it was wrestling, soccer, and tennis. So yeah, we never really got into football. When I ended up going to college, I did a little bit of flag. I preferred defense. Once you go 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, you can just rush that quarterback.
Yes.
And it's exhilarating. But yeah, we had the freedom to do what we wanted growing up, but football was never part of the conversation, and we never really questioned it. Like, it makes sense. We see these guys getting absolutely destroyed on the field, and we're already doing soccer at the time. We also did recreational soccer in town, so we're already into that, and that's the same season, so there was no reason really to go into football. But looking back, seeing all these guys generating so much money and getting so famous from football, it's like, not that I would have become a professional, but in whatever sport I did growing up, I wish I put in a little bit more effort, because wouldn't that be cool being a professional athlete? But yeah, no football.
Yeah, but looking back, what role do you think the Patriots and Tom Brady play in New England society, like your town?
Yeah, growing up,
what do they mean to you guys?
Yeah, growing up, whenever you would go to school, you would see a Tom Brady jersey. You would see an Edelman jersey or a Welker jersey. But Tom Brady's was definitely the most commonplace. This guy was treated like a god, basically, when he was with the Patriots. He was a guy where, we might be down in the fourth quarter with a minute or two left, but you look in his eyes, and it's like total belief and focus. There was nothing like it. You were confident that your team, no matter what you were down, was going to come back in the end. Like, the fact that we could say, as New England Patriots fans, that we have Tom Brady and you guys don't, it was just such a huge, not just like physical advantage of him being the best in that regard, but mental advantage. People would see us down points, but they would just believe, but it's Tom Brady, though.
Yeah.
Like, something's going to happen. Just like the Falcons versus the Patriots, 28-3. I remember one of the guys in their defense, they were basically celebrating after the pick six that Brady threw. And one of them was like, oh, we're going to win, blah, blah, blah. And the other one was like, it's Tom Brady, man. I don't know. There's always some doubt on the other side, and there's that innate belief on our side. But like, in terms of New England, in terms of society and Massachusetts and Connecticut, and actually Connecticut's kind of like New York, but parts of Connecticut, Rhode Island, Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire, there was just such a unity. Like, there's a lot of things that we differ on, but there was such a unity around the Patriots and supporting that. So, we'd get to literally unify every other year for a victory parade in Boston. So, physically, that unity was right there that you could see during those parades.
And how about Celtics? During the 2008 to 2012.
Yeah.
So it's the big three, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, and the Red and big three. So during that time, is Celtics closer to the Pats?
I would say that in terms of clout and aura, they were very close to the Pats at that point during that Big Three era. I mean, I had a Garnett jersey. My brother had a Pierce jersey. Everyone was rocking those at school all the time. I feel like, not that there was the first Big Three ever, but with the advent of the internet and with so many talking heads on ESPN and all these different avenues of information, it was probably the first Big Three that was so heavily publicized. And the year before that Big Three formed, the Celtics weren't great. Like, we only had Paul Pierce. Yes. We were kind of mediocre. And then we get Garnett and Allen, and we have Rondo. And that difference from the year before with Pierce to the year after with that Big Three winning the championship, it catapulted the Celtics into complete stardom. I have vivid memories of Kevin Garnett slamming it down, Paul Pierce getting carried off the court when, I don't know, everyone was saying, oh, he tore his ACL. Now, some people think that he didn't end up tearing his ACL because he came right back. But some people think that he had to go to the bathroom. Some people think it was just a Bush League mental tactic. But regardless, it was epic. This guy goes off on a wheelchair and comes back like a superhero. So I'd say they were on a similar level. But nowadays, with Tom Brady gone and us having Tatum and Brown and Derek White and all those guys, the Celtics are maybe a little bit elevated right now.
But when it comes to other sports, Boston has been a very strong city, and I have remembered that the terror attack in Boston Marathon, and David Ortiz said Boston strong.
Yeah, this is our effing city.
So what does these great athletes mean to you when you grow up?
Oh, I mean, it's complete pride in being a Bostonian, pride in growing up in these streets. When you see a guy like David Ortiz he's from the Dominican Republic, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
And when he's saying, this is our effing city, after this complete atrocity with the Boston Marathon bombing, him like saying that he's one of us, even though he's from another place, he's earning millions of dollars. He doesn't need to galvanize us like that, but he cares so much about where he is. And it's not like he started with the Red Sox, he started with the Twins.
今年暑假来北艺中心开启你的儿童模式吧！2025台北儿童艺术节6月28到8月2号，有超精彩的戏剧、音乐剧、互动体验，让大人小孩一起玩艺术、追故事、听音乐、看表演。这不只是孩子的艺术节，每个人都可以尽情参与，玩出属于自己的夏日冒险。艺术为每个人而开，快搜寻台北儿童艺术节，整个夏天都好玩。
And it's not like he started with the Red Sox, he started with the Twins. Just the fact that he buys in completely. All of the athletes really buy into the culture. And before, like years ago, there were some incidents that some people would cause to label Boston as like a racist city, perhaps, some like sports incidents. I mean, when you live there, you like don't see that at all, and I would vehemently argue against that. But there's a lot of little things that happen that may cause people to say terrible things like that. So it's nice to see our athletes buy into like being not just athletes on our teams, but fans of the city. And David Ortiz taking pride. I mean, I still look back at old highlights of David Ortiz versus the Yankees in 2004, looking at old Tom Brady highlights against the Falcons or against the Seahawks, just the connection that we have to them. And I bet thousands of other Boston sports fans do the same thing. Whenever we're at the airport, we see the banners hanging down. We see all the times that we've won. Whenever you go to a game, you see those banners. And whenever our athletes, if we draft them to the team or it's their first season at the team, they're just shown the banners initially, and that just shows them how important our history is. So yeah, there's nothing like being a Bostonian. It's I was blessed growing up. Every year, a different parade, a different championship to celebrate.
I got a question. We have heard that some people said that Boston is a city with racists. Where did this myth come from, and how do you think about that as a local person?
As a local person, I have never, like, walking on the streets of Boston or growing up in my suburb, I never saw any instances of it. But going back to the, I think, 80s, we had issues with, like, we were trying to desegregate schools and bring people from, like, black people from lower income neighborhoods to higher income white schools, just so everyone, like, could get a fair chance with everything, and get the best education they could. And during that busing situation where they were busing the black students to the white schools, white students to the black schools, there was huge riots on the streets, people throwing stuff at the buses, people yelling terrible profanities at the buses and at the students. So that's, like, the historical context of it. And also with regards to the Celtics, even though we were the first to have an all-black starting five, we were the first to have a black head coach in Bill Russell, there's always been instances of maybe people in the crowd saying stuff to the players, people in the crowd saying stuff to the opposing players more so. I remember when maybe in 2013, I'm almost positive because there was a player on the Tigers, and I think we were going against them in the playoffs. Someone said something racist towards one of the batters, and that got a lot of attention.
Yeah, Torrey Hunter.
Yeah, Torrey Hunter, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so there's always something like that happens, and I feel like people just magnify on it so much because Boston, Massachusetts is just like a pinnacle of education, and it's very liberal. Not saying conservatives are, like, more racist. They're not at all. I think that America is pretty post-racism. I don't think that it's a very large issue anymore, but it really gets magnified. I think because Boston is just at the top of sports and people kind of want to bring us down a peg, or I don't know, people are just very focused on race.
Yeah, because when you brought up the desegregation, the conflict, I believe the conflict happened in every state in the United States, not just Boston or Massachusetts.
Not just us, but I think that it was, maybe a little bit more extreme, those riots in Boston, and it seems less expected in a place that has places such as Harvard and MIT and Boston College and all these very high-achieving academic institutions that are always at the forefront of, like, civil rights, that would happen. So that's why people would put the magnifying glass on it, and I think people just still haven't kind of forgot about that, and that's just kind of staying. I mean, not that people think about this every day, but in every maybe couple months or so, there'll be someone mentioning it or some story surrounding it. But as a person that lives there, I don't think that we're a racist town at all.
Yeah, so let's get back to football.
Yeah, let's do it.
You told me that you have been to Patriots game 3 to 4 times, maybe. And so could you share about your first memory to watch a Patriots game there?
Yes, I can. I mean, it's kind of hard to pinpoint an exact memory, but I do remember being there when it was Brady and Randy Moss. And So, I mean, one of the most deadly combos of all time. It's the ultimate shame that we were not able to win a Super Bowl that year.
Twice.
Yes, against the Giants. That was horrible. I mean, I still shudder to think of that. But being at a game with Brady and Moss, that connection was just, I think Moss that game, I mean, he didn't have his huge 169-yard 3-touchdown game, but I think he did have a tutty and maybe 80, 90 yards or something like that. But just seeing the relationship that they had, seeing Moss give a signature celebration after the touchdown, just the overall atmosphere that you feel being at the game with a leader, with a quarterback like Tom Brady, the food that you get at the game, being with I think it was my brother and my dad. There's nothing better than that, especially after a win. And it was against, I think, divisional opponent, either the Jets or the Bills. And I think in Tom Brady's tenure, we were probably had like a 95% win percentage against both of those teams. So we probably won. But yeah.
Could you describe the atmosphere in the Gillette Stadium? Because, of course, Massachusetts is so far away from Taiwan, but in Taiwan there are so many Patriots fans even till now. So, is it a must-do in their life?
Yeah, if you go, yeah, I would say going to a Patriots game is definitely a must-do to experience overall American culture, not just culture in the New England area or in Boston, but just overall. I mean, football and baseball might be America's pastime, but football has surpassed it in terms of money, marketability, overall, I think pride in the game, because I think us Americans we're very competitive. We like to win. We like to be aggressive and beat. I mean, to sometimes our detriment, in other countries maybe thinking of us as a bully, especially maybe with Trump right now. Regardless of that, though, we love that aggression. We love those hits, even though it might involve a brain injury or two. That's just something we love about the game. And like Gillette Stadium and Pats games might not be on the level of like Death Valley and the SEC with regards to football, but it's always packed at the game. Seeing the everyone run out of the tunnel with the smoke and the fireworks is just absolutely beautiful. You've probably seen videos of Tom Brady exiting the tunnel and saying like, "Let's effing go," and just unrelenting. It doesn't matter who we're going against. If we know we're gonna win by 30 points or it's gonna be close, that level of energy from the players just is always there, and that infuses it into us fans, because it's always a packed house. You always have some beverages with you. Definitely have a couple, 2 or 3 beers, I'd say, is pretty good for the game. I mean, maybe you're tailgating before the game, so you've already drank a little bit. You're feeling good, and then you get to watch some guys beating the crap out of each other. There's nothing better than that. It's a great sport to watch. I mean, it's an amazing sport to watch on TV, but the atmosphere of seeing all of these guys as a team work together to beat down another team physically, that it's just electric.
That sounds really great, because that sounds like it was a very immersive experience of football that you're in for maybe 5 hours before and after the game. Yeah, that's that the whole experience is like you're in the other world.
Oh yeah, completely. I mean, from the parking lot to, I mean, tailgates are fun though, don't get me wrong, but from the parking lot to getting in the stadium and you're vibing with the guys next to you, high fives. Maybe there was a huge sack by Dante Hightower. Everyone's high-fiving and saying, "Let's go!" Even though you might be far away, you're still like, "Let's go!" Even if you're in the nosebleeds. Nosebleeds are like the seats that are way up high. Mm-hmm. That's where the real fans are anyways. So that atmosphere is going to be epic way up there. But yeah, completely immersive atmosphere. The food's delicious at the Gillette Stadium, I will say. So if you're ever hungry and you go to a game there, you got to try out the steak sandwich.
Steak sandwich?
Yes. Oh my God. So good. Some cheese, some onions, a little sauce. Ooh.
Are you homesick?
I'm excited to go to a game for the first time in a while when I get back. But I love the food in Taiwan, so I will never disparage that. I'm probably the biggest fan of school lunch. that Taiwan has ever seen. Shout out Minsheng Guoxiao. Beautiful place. But yeah, I'll be happy to have a nice American steak and cheese when I get
Yeah, I gotta to tell our listeners something fun about Chris. Chris sometimes brought the lunch back home.
Well, that's a 4 times a week thing. That's a 4 times a week thing. I don't mind having the same lunch as my dinner. You know, it's cost effective. It's crazy. It costs like 60 NTD, $60 per day for a meal, and I get to have as much as I want at school. They know that I have a lot at school nowadays. So if there's extras, they'll always just look at me and they'll like kind of make eye contact and be like, you want the extras? And I'll be like, usually I'll be like, no, like I've already had 3 servings. You don't need to do that to me. But everyone is just so welcoming and nice at my school, and they know who eats the most. So if I ever do want that 4th serving, I can count on them to give me more. And then you go home and you have it for dinner. Maybe you add a little bit of spices because sometimes the food is lacking in that department, as great as it is. So we'll add a little bit of pepper, some salt, some spicy marinade, and call it a day. Heat it up in the microwave.
I bet you eat a lot because you work out and run so much, and you can run so fast in half marathon and full marathon.
Yeah, I mean, you know it as good as anyone. I met you at the Tainan 400 half marathon race. You need to eat a lot when you're running, even if you're not running that many kilometers per week. But usually I'm doing like 50 or 60. And you need a lot to sustain you, especially if you also mix in some strength training. I love going to the gym maybe once a week, but doing a lot of park workouts. I get to meet a lot of local Taiwanese people, some foreigners that maybe are just trying to get a workout in the morning or night when I usually go. So I love how you guys have those pull-up bars at your parks. Like there's a lot of ideas that America needs to take from you guys, including all of the fitness one and all the nutritional ones, because we are getting fat and we need to fix that. I think we can learn a thing or two from
because
Taiwan.
Chris is a very rare person for me because I have never seen someone take 营养午餐 back home.
Yeah, I know everyone's always, well, you guys are always complaining about it because you don't know the perspective, the 不一样的角度. Like when I was growing up in school, although I am easily satisfied and I was fine with the lunch, like I'd eat it every day, my school lunch growing up as a guoxiao pengyo, and as a middle schooler and a high schooler, I would have it and I'd be like, okay, it's pretty good. But then when I came here as an American teacher with Fulbright, and I started having your school lunch, I was like, mind blown. First, it's nutritional. Second, I can have as much as I want. And third, I mean, I get to eat it with all my homies at Minsheng Guoxiao. I get to bring it home. Like all of these pluses. I think you guys just don't know the difference. Like how lucky you guys are. You know, you always have a carb with the rice, or maybe noodles if you're lucky. You always have vegetables with the steamed whatever. Maybe it's bai cai or maybe it's some other plant. There's always a main meat dish. Then there's like a meat and vegetable mixed dish, a soup, a fruit. Like, bro, that's a lot of stuff. And I think it's good for you for the most part.
You make American government look bad.
Oh, I want to, because they need to see this and they need to wake up. And I think RFK, not to get into politics, but I think RFK Jr. with the health department in the U.S., I think they're on the right track in looking into this stuff. And I really hope they do, because school lunch is something that a lot of kids don't even have a choice in what they're putting into their bodies. So we need to allow them to not have to worry about that and be able to go to school and rely on the fact that what they're putting in their bodies is healthy and not contributing to illnesses that could be avoided.
Mm-hmm. And do you think any younger quarterback like Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, and even maybe Joe Burrow could be close to Tom Brady?
It's easy to look at these guys, and especially guys like a Lamar Jackson.
Yeah,
see
the game they play is the games they play have been entertaining.
Yes, it's easy to look at that entertaining aspect. Him spin moving against the Bengals. I think that was his first. I mean, he's done that a million times, but there's one specific highlight I'm thinking of against the Bengals that was absurd. It's easy to see these guys that are so athletic and they can run and they can juke, spin move, do all this crazy stuff, and think, oh, these guys could be better than Brady, or these guys seeing an amazing comeback and being like, oh, they have a clutch gene like Brady. But I've yet to see someone consistently be able to do what Brady does. I mean, Brady, he was the 199th pick. Coming out of college, he didn't have all those tangible assets that a guy like Lamar has. A blazing fast 40 time, crazy like 3-cone drill or whatever drills they do in the combine, insane numbers like that. Brady was just kind of like a chubby, fat guy from Michigan that people didn't really look at as anything special. But he had the brain and the belief. When he was first drafted by Bob Kraft, I told you this. When he was drafted, he said to Bob Kraft, as the 199th pick, mind you, he said to Kraft on the first day, I am going to be the best decision that your organization has ever made. Like, the amount of gall and balls that it takes to say that is absurd. I don't see anyone saying stuff like that nowadays, and like that amount of confidence. They don't want to jinx themselves, or they don't want to set the expectations too high that they're going to not meet. So I don't see someone surpassing him right now, but Mahomes was on the path and kind of making me uncomfortable because a lot of people were making those comparisons, and it was hard not to see those comparisons and give them at least a little bit of thought. But after that last Super Bowl,
what makes you uncomfortable?
Because Brady's like our Jesus with the Patriots. Even though he left us for the Bucks, even though he did that, and now we're back to mediocrity or worse. I mean, probably worse than mediocrity. We still, most people in Pat's Nation, I'd say 98%. Still love Brady and treat him as that mythical GOAT figure. And if you don't know what GOAT means, it means greatest of all time. And you can use that in any context. You could be the GOAT football player, the GOAT baseball player, the GOAT in whatever. So he's the GOAT football player. And that's just something that we all recognize to be a fact. He is the GOAT in football. But then you got someone like Patrick Mahomes that's only, maybe he's 28, 29, and he was at 3 Super Bowls going into the last one. The numbers were pretty much on the same track as Brady's. It looks like if he wins against the Eagles, like, he's definitely on track to get there. Especially would that have been a three-peat? 3 in a row by the Chiefs? Almost. So, like, I mean, three Super Bowls in a row, or maybe it was 2, whatever it was. It was making me uncomfortable because I don't want to have that. I don't want anyone to even come close to my GOAT, to my football Jesus, Tom Brady. Like, especially when we have such pride in him being this figure, and then someone's trying to take him down a step. We're like, no. There's no way this guy Mahomes can be any better. And then he does terrible in the Super Bowl, so now we're not having this conversation anymore.
I think it's common among all of our Pats fans.
Oh, yeah. And it's common to see these like modern guys and say, even though Brady was like, he's a modern football player. He's not from like when everything was black and white in the 80s, 70s. But like, it's easy to say nowadays that, oh, these guys are so much more athletic than like Brady and Manning and all these guys from back then. It's easy to look at the modern generations and say, oh, people are just getting better and better. You can't even compare them to back then. But I think after this Super Bowl, or after that Super Bowl that Mahomes did terrible in, and after kind of seeing how people talk about Tom Brady and looking at old highlights, because a lot of times maybe they'll have little shows on TV or documentaries talking about the old Patriots teams or about Brady. People have recognized and people have kind of fought back against the narrative of Mahomes being the next Brady. And I think not just Pat fans, but I think a lot of people kind of miss having Brady around because people are sick of Mahomes. People think that he thinks he's all of that. The Chiefs think that they're the next dynasty. I mean, you could say that they're a dynasty after winning 3. Yeah. But I mean, people always just hate on the people on the top. And I think people NFL fans wouldn't mind having Brady come back and take Mahomes down a peg.
That's right.
Yeah.
So after last Super Bowl, is that make you not hate Eagle as compared to 2017?
Oh, yeah. I mean, everyone kind of hates Philly in the U.S. other than if you're from Philly. It's kind of similar thing with like Boston sports. People will hate on Boston sports if you're not from there. Same thing with Philly and New York. It's like those three, just because we get all this media attention. We put a lot of money into our sports. We have a lot of success. Definitely us more than Philly and New York. But just based on the history, people from those towns are so dedicated to the sports, but everyone else hates on them. So if it was Philly versus any other team, I probably wouldn't have been rooting for Jalen Hurts and Saquon. But since it was versus the Chiefs, I would say the vast majority of people were rooting against the Chiefs, just because, as I said, like, you want to hate on the people on the top. You don't want the Chiefs to win three in a row. You especially don't want that if your GOAT is Tom Brady, and that could be in jeopardy. So everyone was rooting against the Chiefs. Everyone wanted the tush push to be successful every time that they used it as the Eagles. And I guess another thing, other than the angle of hating on Mahomes when he's going against the Eagles, having Saquon on the Eagles, I think that also made me want to support them. Because here's a guy that has been toiling away on the never going to the playoffs Giants. Here's a guy that he's put in so much work on this terrible team. Like, he deserves to finally get his roses.
Yes.
So I think that was another reason that I supported the Eagles, even though we lost to them. It's a whole different time, though. Compared to 2017, they had Nick Foles. Now they have Hurts. And yeah, Foles. Oh my God! Like, how does this guy produce like 5 touchdowns and however many yards? I have no idea. Brady outplayed him anyway. Brady did outplay him in that Super Bowl, I will say. But Foles, what a performance he did.
Yeah, that was a fairy tale story.
It was. And, I mean, Bill Belichick helped it happen because he didn't play Malcolm Butler.
Yeah.
So I'm always going to remember that, even though I love Belichick, and I'm always thankful for what he and Brady gave to us. Like, Malcolm Butler, he's the guy that made the interception against the Seahawks when it really mattered. And then a bum like Foles unleashes for like 400 yards against us because we don't have a guy covering their number one wide receiver. It's just, it was petty. It was petty.
Yeah, but let's get back to Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you analyze these young quarterbacks reasonably,
yes,
what Tom Brady sets apart from them?
First, I guess I'll give them some props. Guys like Mahomes and Lamar are more athletic. They have more natural gifts than Brady. They are able to make these crazy sidearm throws and spins, and maybe they're getting sacked, but they stay up. Like, they have a lot of these tangible things that if, like, just on face value, if you're watching them, they might look better. But everyone will say this about Brady, and me, like, most of all, because I love looking back on these stories. Brady just had that. First, he had that work ethic. He watches film more than anyone else. He prepares his body better than everyone else with his like TB12 method of always stretching and staying pliable, eating as clean as you can eat, spending so much time with his health guru, Alex Guerrero, to stay in tip-top shape. And then other than that work ethic, which inspires the people around him to also put in work, it's the leadership ability. And you can see that if you watch the Falcons Super Bowl, if you watch any of the big games with Tom Brady, you'll see what sets him apart. And that's like, even if we're down, he's rallying the troops. If they're down 28-3 against the Falcons, he's telling them, like, laser focus, lock in. He's not dejected at all. Like, you can look at his, it's not like his mouth is doing this talking and his eyes are a completely different story. In his eyes, you can still see that he believes. And when you related to this, if you watch interviews with other players about their times playing with him or maybe playing against him, they'll all say that like when he tells you something, you believe it. And like when he tells you we're going to win this game or you put in this work and it's going to pay off, if you truly believe that, you're going to put in the work because it's going to pay off. If you believe that when he says we're going to win this game, you just have that mental edge over the competition. When he left the Patriots to the Bucs, people questioned if Belichick was the reason for our success or if Brady was. And just the fact that they end up winning the Super Bowl, that just shows that no matter what system he was in, that Tom Brady aura and confidence and leadership ability, that could happen anywhere. Because the Bucs had never won, maybe they'd won a Super Bowl before, but they were once. Yeah. But they'd been mediocre for a while. Yeah. And, you know, some people think he's just going on vacation to sunny Tampa Bay. But he went there and he went to work. Like he was right away creating those relationships with players like Chris Godwin and Antonio Brown, recruiting guys like Antonio Brown and Gronk to come to the team. A lot of other people came to the team because they wanted to play with this figure that everyone idolizes. So yeah, that leadership ability. It's just, you don't see that at all. Guys that care about the team as much as he does, about the team's success, not about his individual stats. Guys that are fearless in the pocket. As I said, he doesn't have the athleticism of these younger guys, but his ability to prepare for the game, no defenses, it makes it so that he didn't need to run. He could just be comfortable in the pocket and he could sense when pressure was coming. So that's another thing that set him apart.
Yeah, that is really a personality trait that I really want, that I have, that because that's his dedication to the game.
And I think the most important and special and very impressed me is he make the offense very simple and very reasonable. You just short pass, run, and boom, like a big pass to Edelman or Gronk and it's touchdown. And we're like, it's not that hard.
Oh, I know. Yeah, it looks so easy.
Yeah, but when you watch other quarterbacks offense, is like, oh shit.
Exactly, and maybe they're running around like crazy people, and meanwhile, Tom Brady, the Clydesdale, as some people would call him, Clydesdale is like the heaviest horse in the world, and it goes really slow, just like he does. The Clydesdale doesn't need to run away and be athletic and crazy, elusive like these other guys. He can just stay in the pocket, do those short passes, and then that opens up the big chunk play.
Yes.
And people, a lot of haters, because when you're at the top, you always have the haters. They would always say, oh, he only throws check down passes. He only throws screens. Well, when you look at the stats nowadays, Mahomes actually throws a lot more. But it's all part of the game. I mean, whatever is going to get you the win.
Yeah.
So
if it works, it works.
If it works, it works. Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, and he never had the craziest arm strength. But when you're able to put up, I think his most yards was maybe... I think he put up 5,000. He definitely put up 4,900 before. But when you're able to put up that many yards, your arm's pretty good, and you're not just doing check down passes.
Yes, for sure.
Oh, by the way, you also talk to me about fantasy football. So what was your strategy when Tom was there? Do you always try to get him in if you got the first pick, or do you prefer to get other Patriots receivers to get the because you know they got Tom and they may have more scores?
You know,
I think the more awkward question is, will you choose or will you select Pat's running back?
Okay, I would never do that because as you know, based on asking that question, you know they get injured every single year, and we always run a platoon of running backs. We're never going to have that dominant back.
Running back committee.
Exactly, it's always running back by committee.
Yeah,
and because we care most about the team.
Yes.
It's the Patriot way of everyone contributing, not just one guy being the star. Although Brady was that for a very long time. But in fantasy football, I'm in a few different leagues with some different scoring systems, but I guess I'll just talk on a normal PPR league, maybe an 8-team or something, where you have one quarterback, a couple wide receivers, a couple running backs, a flex, a defense. I usually don't like to get a quarterback first. My allegiance to the Patriots does not follow itself through to my drafting strategy. Usually I'll go for a running back. You want a running back that catches passes. That's huge, especially in PPR. So that would normally mean Christian McCaffrey. He's been the first overall the last few years, although he did get injured one of the years, and that screwed over the person with the first pick because everyone's going to take Christian McCaffrey. Like, you can't not. And Justin Jefferson has been up there recently. CD Lamb's been top 10. Ashton Jeanty is a running back this year that's going to definitely probably be top 5. So I'd say I would not get... I don't think I ever had Brady, honestly. Even though he was great, I feel like when I was doing fantasy, it's been the last 10 years, and he did have some great seasons in the last 10 years. Like, he should have been MVP when he was with the Bucks. I forgot that year that Aaron Rodgers was MVP. Because of his touchdown to interception ratio was really good. But Brady's numbers in every other aspect were better. Anyways, he did have some really good seasons there. But it's all about who's available in each round. You don't want to force it all the time. And in one of the leagues that I've been in for 10 years, I take pride in this. Maybe more than anything else. Maybe more than any achievement I've had in my life. In the first 9 years of that season, my average finishing position was second out of... it used to be 14 teams. Now it's been 10 teams for the last 7 years. So average finishing position a second, I'll take it. Winning 3 times, I take pride in that, and it's mostly in taking those running backs early. Waiting in the draft for a quarterback, because usually you can find some value late in the draft. If you do your research, there's always that quarterback that ends up having a crazy season that no one thought would do anything really. So... usually like to get a lot of depth with wide receiver and running back. So yeah, no Brady. And no wide receivers either with Brady, because he liked to spread it around a lot. As I said, it's not all about having that one star, although Randy Moss was one. But I didn't do fantasy back then. If I did, I would get him. But the Patriots has always been that way, with Brady throwing to whoever's open, not forcing it, because he's the GOAT. And why would you do that? That could create an interception or something. So.
Oh, by the way, Chris, I'm very curious about how that you went to a very big name university, Boston College, and there are a lot. I believe there are a lot of students from other states and other countries. Have you ever met any haters of Tom Brady, and how was your response to them?
So at the point when I was at Boston College, that was 2017 to 2021, and I guess in 2017, maybe the Patriots won the Super Bowl that year. They won.
Yeah, lost to Eagles.
They lost the Eagles that year, and then
2017, right?
2017, and then 2018, what was that?
Won the Rams.
They won against the Rams.
So we also almost have a 3-peat. That's not Eagles.
Yep. If not for the Eagles, we would have had it. Because the year before the Eagles was the Falcons?
Falcons, 28-3.
Oh my God. But so yeah, I mean, we were definitely at the top when I was at BC. But I think BC's it's a smart college. People are pretty intelligent. They can see things for what it is. Most people aren't delusional. And I think that most people recognize greatness. And most people aren't combative enough to really say it to your face what they think about those teams. And not the vast majority, but a plurality of students are from the New England area, I would say, even though we have people from all over the world at BC. People are pretty polite, and no one's going to say anything about my glorious king, Tom Brady. People know that we're on top. And you just sound like a fool. If you're going to start bashing Brady, you just sound like a fool. And we, as fans, as Patriots fans, we don't really care. It's kind of nice having these haters, because that's his validation that you're at the top. So it's kind of like keep talking. Keep talking. It feels good. Because now we don't get that anymore. we have Drake May, and we have Kyle Williams, and these guys, Ramondre Stevenson, Christian Gonzalez. Like I can name them, but there's no one. We don't have that Patriot way mentality and that Tom Brady to lead us to victory anymore. And it's kind of sad because no one talks about us as much. It used to be every Sunday on ESPN. They'd be gushing over Brady. They'd be talking about all the stats of our team. They'd be talking about the road ahead with the Patriots. Are they going to win the Super Bowl again this year? And now you'll rarely see Patriots highlights on. So it's worth having the haters. Although at BC, I didn't really hear much of it. At most of the conversation at a school like BC, at a Division I, ACC, or SEC, of course, school is around our team that we all rally around. And at BC, that was the Eagles.
Have you ever met haters in other states?
I think most people are polite, even though us Americans like to speak our mind, and you can probably understand that. I feel like most people know that Americans are quite loud on average, and we'll say our opinions even if it's a lot different than someone else's.
Yeah. Most
people, boots on the ground, in the grassroots, most people are going to be nice people and respectful. So I've never had anyone direct any extreme vitriol towards me. But I do have some fans some friends that are from New York and are big New York fans, New York Giants or Buffalo Bills with my family. But they all recognize what we had in New England. And it's hard to like when your team loses by 40 points, or maybe if you're from Tennessee and you lost 59-0 in the snow. There's not much you can say.
I still have that game film.
Yeah, you still have that. It's crazy. You expect in a snow game it's going to be a running game, and then Brady throws for 5 touchdowns in the quarter. So yeah, I honestly haven't experienced much of it. But maybe if we're all drunk enough at a tailgate, and then some barbs can fly. But as of now, I haven't had any crazy experiences with it.
So, Red Sox fans versus Patriots fans. Do you think that Red Sox fans are more aggressive? Because there are a lot of hats or T-shirts that jokes about Yankees, but Patriots don't do that. Yeah, and last time when I went to Boston, I wore a Yankees hat because there was a major league pitcher, Jamie Wang.
Yes.
Yeah, in Yankee. So I'm a fan of Yankee. So yeah, but my friends told me that now we're in Boston area, even on highway, but maybe you want to take off your hat.
I would say maybe if you were back in like the early 2000s, 2004, 5, 6, 7, with the Red Sox hat. With the Yankees hat in Boston, you definitely get some remarks and some looks and some sneers and all of that in the heat of the Red Sox-Yankees rivalry. But nowadays, after the Red Sox have gotten their accolades and their glory, ending that 86-year drought of not winning a championship, a World Series, and beating the Yankees, exercising those demons, the rivalry has kind of died down a little bit. Even though we hate the Yankees and we'll always relish them losing, and we have David Ortiz on Fox Sports, like whenever they lose, he'll be like, "The Yankees lose." So that animosity is still there, but it's not as much. But I would say back in the day of the early 2000s, the animosity of being a Sox fan was definitely at a higher level than the Patriots, because, the Patriots were, at the time I can remember, in those like late 2000s, we were just so much better than anyone else, and there wasn't really that much of a rivalry, whereas the Red Sox rivalry has been going on for almost 100 years, maybe more than that, against the Yankees. Ever since we traded Babe Ruth, and the Yankees ended up winning 26 championships, and the Red Sox won 0 in 86 years and came so close so many times. And there was fights that would break out between the Red Sox and Yankees. So that fighting between teams created such a rivalry that I think that was at a different level than the Patriots. Yeah.
Oh, got it.
Yeah.
And so back to those haters. I'm curious as local Pats fans, and I'm wondering what's your opinion about those scandals in the past, like Spygate, Deflategate, and maybe older like Tucker rules.
Oh, Tucker rules, yeah.
I would say that because as the Tucker rules, I would say it's like rules are rules.
Mm-hmm.
But as a Spygate and the Deflategate, there's always a lot of argument in the internet and outside American. And I'm not sure it's like also a lot of argument in America or what, but it's very arguable in Taiwan.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I would like to say I think Spygate is our fault, but we also got punishment.
Yeah.
So it's the past.
Yeah.
And Deflategate is just it's a natural situation for me.
Yeah, I think every team will always try to find that edge.
Yes.
Especially if they're at their home stadium and they're able to kind of manipulate things to their liking during games. I think all these teams are doing stuff like that. But growing up, I would never really pay any attention to any of that, and I would just think, oh, like, as Trump would say, like, fake news, like that's not real, like everything's fair. But now that like Mahomes is the top dog, even though he lost, now that he's kind of the top dog face of the league, the replacement of Brady, perhaps, we see him getting so many calls nowadays, and we see so many things going his way, like late in games that benefit the Chiefs rather than the other team. And that kind of makes me realize that the Patriots were that team back in the day. And because people would always say that, oh, the refs are always in the Patriots' pockets. Like, Brady gets all the calls. You can barely touch him, and he gets a roughing the passer.
Yes.
To which I say, look at old Brady sack highlights and see how hard he gets hit and see how fast he gets up. So it's a completely different game. But now I recognize that, like, a lot of calls definitely used to go the Patriots' way. Tuck rule was before the Patriots were great.
Yes.
So I think that doesn't fall into that category of the refs treating us better because that was the first Super Bowl, right? So that doesn't really fall in that category. But, I mean, there's a 50-50 call. Maybe that started our road to greatness. In terms of, like, Spygate and Deflategate, as I said, I think all teams are doing stuff like this to get an edge in a sport where there's so much money and so much clout and importance placed on winning. I guarantee all these teams just aren't getting caught, but they're doing crazy things like that. Deflategate, I think that there's been a lot of online debate over this. There's been a lot of people doing science experiments to try to disprove whatever we did. I remember someone at my school when I was, however old I was during Deflategate, his science fair project was on Deflategate on the football. So he was trying to disprove all the stuff they were saying in the report. I don't know what his conclusion ended up being, but that just shows the prevalence of the Patriots in society in Massachusetts. So I don't pay much credence to it because I know that we'd end up dominating without all these things happening. Yeah. I think most Patriots fans would probably say the same things. We'd be like, whatever. It's in the past, as you'd say. And we were already the best team, even if we weren't doing that. We'd, instead of beating you by 40, maybe we beat you by 39.
Okay.
So.
Yeah. So in the final two minutes of recording, I want Chris to talk about how you see the future of the Patriots, because they are rebuilding now. The new quarterback, the new receivers, and everyone in the dynasty is gone.
Yes.
So what's the future?
It is so sad. Everyone in the Dynasty's gone. Even Edelnut, the last one. But anyways, Drake May, we have a lot of confidence in him. Everyone loves him, especially online. I know there's this like Instagram account called Drake May Lover that's always commenting on everything. We recently drafted Kyle Williams, so there's a lot of people say that he was a big steal of the draft. He's got a lot of separation ability. He's able to gain some space from defenders. Running back by committee, that's how it always is. Christian Gonzalez was an all-pro, I'm pretty sure, or he's at least an all-star. So I think we have a lot of pieces there, and most of our picks were on the offensive side of the ball. So I think maybe even if the defense goes down a little bit, there's going to be a lot of fireworks and a lot of reason to watch. There's going to be a lot of highlights on SportsCenter Top 10. Even though, as you said, it's a rebuild, everything's a rebuild compared to the old Patriots days. Like, to get back up to that height, you need to build, because that's the pinnacle. That's the top of the game. And we were terrible last year, so there's a lot of improvement that we can make. But I'm optimistic. We have the second easiest schedule, I think, in the league. The Jets and the Dolphins, I think they've both gotten worse. The Bills are the Bills. They're great now. And I, even though we have the rivalry with them, I wouldn't mind if Josh Allen won a Super Bowl for my family's sake in Buffalo, and also for Josh Allen's sake, because he's a good dude. But I feel confident about the Patriots. I think maybe in 2 or 3 years, I think this year we're going to make the playoffs, but in 2 to 3 years, I think we can make some waves.
Wow, Chris, you're confident.
Yes, I'm very confident. And Bill Belichick is not drafting for us anymore.
Yes.
So that was always an issue.
Hell yeah.
He would always find those like random white receivers out in the world. Or he'd find those old lacrosse players turned wide receiver. Maybe Edelman was a quarterback turned wide receiver. He'd find those like little guys that were spark plugs and little balls of energy, and he'd turn them into great players. But everyone else, like, I don't know what the statistics are on like how many All-Stars we've drafted personally, but it was dismal. So he's gone now. He's with his 20-year-old girlfriend in UNC, having a great time. But I think Vrabel will be a little bit better.
Then do you feel exciting about Josh McDaniels' comeback?
Yeah, I mean,
really?
even though he had some trouble in leading his own programs multiple times.
Yes.
When he's been with us, he's been great.
Okay.
When he's been with us, the offense has been amazing. He did have Brady, and now he doesn't. So we'll see how he does without him. But I think everyone that was a part of that Brady era, that was a part of all of those Super Bowls, we give them a chance to. Or we even give them a second chance or a third chance. Like, we're going to give them that opportunity to either win or lose, but at least they get the chance to do it. So,
Okay, so it's really our pleasure to have Chris here. Thank you very much for coming.
You're welcome. This was very fun talking football with people for probably I talked with you at the race, but this is the first time really talking in depth about it, because as you guys know, NFL, Meishizucho is not very popular in Taiwan, and I hope you guys can continue making that different.
Yeah, we will. We will continue promoting football here.
Exactly.
By our podcast.
It's a great sport, and I think if people end up watching it or playing fantasy football, they're gonna see it's got a lot of potential.
Okay, that's it today. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye. Woo!
Yeah.
Thank you, Chris.
You're welcome.